Hey, today I've got some terrifying Reddit threads that genuinely had me sleeping with the lights on. If you want more of these videos, hit subscribe and drop a like. Let's get into it. My dog, German Shepherd, 4 years old, has been growling at my bedroom closet every single night for a month. Last night, I finally opened it at 3 a.m. and I don't know what to do. This was posted 4 days ago on r/nosleep by Throwaway Closet Dog. It picked up traction fast and kept climbing, and once you hear the setup, you will completely understand why. So I'm 27-year-old female. I live alone in a rented house and I work from home. Quiet neighborhood, older homes, lots of big trees. The house is old but charming, and the rent was low enough that I didn't ask too many questions. 2 years ago, I adopted Rex, a German Shepherd, who is genuinely the calmest dog I have ever owned. He doesn't bark at the mailman, he doesn't freak out during storms. He is just steady. Which is exactly why it scared me when about a month ago, he started growling at my bedroom closet. Every single night, somewhere between 2 and 3 a.m., low, guttural, unbroken. Hackles raised, body stiff, locked onto the closet door, wouldn't even look at me when I called his name. I checked the closet during the day multiple times. Old coats, storage boxes, normal stuff. Nothing behind anything, nothing weird. So I started dismissing it. I told Rex to knock it off. I shoved a pillow over my head and went back to sleep. Then last week, I finally propped up a spare phone as a camera and let it record overnight. Next morning, I'm sitting in the kitchen reviewing the footage with my coffee, and at 2:47 a.m., the closet door drifts open about 2 inches on its own. Rex erupts, and in a single frame, grainy but unmistakable, there is a human hand pulling the door shut from the inside. I drop my coffee. My hands have not stopped shaking since. That is where this post starts. She uploaded it 4 days ago and it climbed fast. Because there is something about a dog that will not break eye contact with a closed door at 3 in the morning that gets under your skin before you even know why. There is an update on this one, and it goes somewhere nobody in that comment section was ready for. So OP has the footage, a hand pulling her closet door shut at 3 in the morning. Proof right there on her phone screen. And her very first instinct is to find any possible way to unsee it. I replayed that clip maybe 40 times, zooming in, telling myself it was a shadow, a glitch, pareidolia. I almost convinced myself. Then I checked the other nights, 5 nights of footage. Every single one. The door cracks open between 2:40 and 2:55 a.m. Every single one. Rex reacts. On nights he only whimpered, the door stayed open longer. On nights he went full growl, it shut fast. They were testing my dog, learning how far they could push. And every time Rex growled and I told him to shut up, I was telling the only thing protecting me to stand down. I called my friend Megan at 6 a.m. sobbing. She said, "Call the cops now." 2 officers came at noon, checked the closet. Coats and boxes. One noticed a back wall panel but said it was original to the house. They said old doors drift. Get a latch. I felt completely gaslit. That night I moved to the couch, Rex beside me, knife on the coffee table. I have not opened that closet at night since. If something is looking back at me from 2 feet away, I do not know what I do. That is the detail that changes how you hear this entire story. Everything before it sounded like a haunted house. Now it sounds like a stakeout. And OP just realized she has been on the wrong side of it the whole time. Right now, she is on her living room couch, kitchen knife on the coffee table, Rex on the floor beside her, finally being listened to. She has not gone near that closet after dark since. The police came in broad daylight and left her with a suggestion to buy a latch. The landlord is not returning calls, and whoever has been behind that back panel has a full month of data. They know her sleep patterns. They know how loud Rex has to get before she wakes up. They know exactly how fast she tells him to stop. They have been running the same quiet test every single night, and OP just realized she has been part of the experiment the entire time. This is where OP stops rationalizing and the details start stacking. I haven't slept more than 2 hours straight in weeks. I moved to the living room, but it doesn't matter. I still hear Rex. He still growls at that closet every single night. I started noticing things I'd brushed off. There's a smell in the bedroom. Not strong, just faint staleness I blamed on old pipes. A phone charger behind my nightstand I assumed was mine, but I don't own that brand. Things on my nightstand kept shifting. My water glass, my book, small stuff I told myself I must have bumped. I bought a real security camera, hardwired, night vision, pointed right at the closet. 3 more nights. 3 more times the door opened. Same window, between 2 and 3 a.m. I emailed the footage to the police and my landlord. Cops said they'd review it. My landlord didn't respond for 2 days. I called him 6 times. When he finally picked up, his voice was wrong. Flat. He asked if I'd ever looked behind the back panel of the closet. I said no. He said, "Don't touch anything. I'm coming over." I'm writing this from my car in the driveway. Engine running. Rex is in the back seat. I am not going back inside alone. The landlord should be here in 20 minutes. I don't know what's behind that panel, but he does. I heard it in his voice. Reactions under this post went hard. The part about the hand pulling the door shut made me physically ill. That means he was reacting to the dog in real time. He was awake and aware and choosing to stay. Former property manager here. That crawlspace access should have been disclosed and sealed. Your landlord is liable. Get a lawyer involved. You said he had a phone charger plugged in behind your wall. That means he had power. Do you think he could have had his own camera in there? Police found a small hole drilled through the back of the closet wall, hidden behind the shelf lining. It lined up directly with my bed. I threw up when they showed me. I keep thinking about every single night I changed clothes in that room. And that's where this part cuts off. OP sitting in a cold car at midnight, waiting for answers she's not ready for. OP came back a few days later with an update post. They found who was living in my walls, and I recognized him. I'm writing this from my sister's apartment. My hands are still shaking. The landlord came over with a contractor yesterday. They pulled the back panel off my closet, and there's a crawl space behind it. It connects to the basement, and the basement has a separate exterior entrance. The lock had been jimmied. Police found a sleeping bag in there, food wrappers, a phone charger plugged into an outlet that someone had wired behind my bedroom wall, and photos. Dozens of printed photos of me sleeping, taken through the slat gaps of the closet door. Some had timestamps going back weeks. The angles make it clear he was less than 2 feet from my bed. I went numb reading the police report. But the worst detail? In some of the photos, Rex is visible at the foot of the bed, ears up, staring directly at the closet, directly at the camera. He always knew. He was trying to tell me every single night, and I kept telling him to stop. Forensics pulled DNA from the sleeping bag. Police said the pattern suggested he was there for hours at a time. Let that sink in. Less than 2 feet away, every night, for weeks. And the only thing between her and that closet was a dog she kept telling to be quiet. The comments hit different on this one. You were telling your dog to stop growling at the thing protecting you. That sentence is going to live in my head for a very long time. The food wrappers and phone charger are what get me. This wasn't someone sneaking in once. He had a routine. He was living alongside you. The fact that the landlord knew about the crawl space and didn't tell her is criminal negligence at minimum. He let a single woman move into a house with an unsealed access point to her bedroom. It absolutely is. In most states, the landlord is required to disclose all access points and ensure they're secured. If he knew about the exterior basement entrance and didn't deadbolt or seal the crawlspace hatch, OP has a slam dunk case. I've seen landlords lose everything over less. So here's where it all landed. DNA from the sleeping bag came back, and suddenly, this was not a mystery anymore. It was a case with a name attached to it. They matched the DNA to a former tenant, a man who rented the house 2 years before I moved in. He knew the layout. He knew about the crawlspace behind the closet. Police believe he kept a copy of the basement entrance key. Apparently, that is stupidly easy to do with older locks. He was arrested 2 weeks later at another rental property across the city. I don't know if he was doing the same thing there. Nobody will tell me. I never got an explanation for why he came back to my house specifically. I don't think I want one. I am still at my sister's place. I sleep with every light on. Rex sleeps on the bed now. Not at the foot, right next to me. I still wake up at 2:47 most nights. Every single time, my eyes go straight to whatever door is closest. I just stare at it until my heart slows down. I don't know when that is going to stop. Maybe it won't. But I will say this. I will never, ever tell Rex to be quiet again. He was right every single night. I was the one who was wrong. The reaction to this one was immediate. I installed cameras in every room of my house after reading this. I don't even have a closet like that, but I don't care. Your dog deserves the biggest steak on the planet. That animal knew something was wrong every single night and never gave up trying to tell you. What gets me about this one is the place it violates. Your own bed, behind a locked door, asleep. That is supposed to be the one place nothing can reach you. And the gut punch is that OP's first instinct every night was to shush the only creature in that house who knew the truth. Because we do that. We rationalize. We assume the normal explanation. Sometimes the thing that refuses to rationalize danger away is the thing you should be listening to. Trust your dog. All right, next story hits just as hard. My 28-year-old female hospital roommate won't leave, and I woke up to her standing over my bed at 3 a.m. This one genuinely made me check my door locks. Posted 6 days ago on r/Let's Not Meet by Post-Op Nightmare. And it starts simple enough. Routine surgery, shared hospital room. But where it goes is something else entirely. OP sets the scene. So I, 28-year-old female, had a routine laparoscopic surgery last week. Nothing dramatic, nothing scary. I was told 2 nights max and then home. They put me in a shared room, which I expected. My roommate was this quiet woman, maybe late 50s or early 60s. Seemed pleasant enough. She had the TV on some daytime talk show with the volume so low I could barely hear it. I didn't think anything of it at first, but her side of the room looked like she had been living there. Multiple overnight bags, a personal blanket draped over the hospital one, a whole shelf of snacks lined up on her bedside table like a little pantry. One of the nurses mentioned offhand that she was supposed to have been discharged 2 days before I even got there, but kept having complications. I honestly did not think much of it. First night post-surgery, I was so groggy from the painkillers, I passed out almost immediately. Then I woke up at 3 a.m. You know that feeling, that deep gut-level animal feeling where your body knows something is wrong before your brain catches up? I opened my eyes and she was standing right next to my bed, inches from my face, holding her phone with the camera light on, pointed directly at me. I gasped, and she did not even flinch. She just said in this perfectly calm, almost maternal voice, "I was just checking if you were breathing." Then she turned around, walked back to her bed, pulled the blanket up, and lay down facing the wall. I did not move for the rest of the night. I just lay there with my heart pounding, staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. And that is night 1. OP is post-op, tethered to an IV, alone with this woman in the dark, and she has no idea yet how much worse this is about to get. So the next morning, OP does what most of us would do. She tries to talk herself out of it. I woke up and honestly felt embarrassed. Maybe she was a retired nurse. Maybe she has anxiety about other patients. Some people are just like that. I told myself the painkillers were making me paranoid. Then at breakfast, she was completely normal, smiling, offering me a yogurt cup, asking how I slept. I said fine. I asked my nurse later about when my roommate was being discharged and got this tight response. We're working on her discharge plan. I saw 2 nurses exchange a look after that, and I couldn't read it. Day 2, she started asking me things. Where do you live? Do you live alone? Is someone picking you up when you leave? I answered vaguely, but I was still foggy from the meds and not fully filtering what I was saying. That night, I forced myself to stay awake. Around 1 a.m., she sat straight up in bed, didn't get up, didn't reach for her phone, just sat there, facing my bed, completely still. I watched through barely open eyes for over an hour. She didn't move once. Then she whispered something I couldn't make out and laid back down like nothing happened. I hit the call button immediately, told the night nurse I felt unsafe. She was sympathetic but said there were no private rooms available and that my roommate hadn't done anything that qualifies as a safety event. I'm tethered to an IV. I'm still in pain from surgery. The one place that's supposed to keep me safe won't move me. And that last line is the thing that sits with you. She's post-op. She can't leave on her own. And the system is telling her that a woman silently staring at her in the dark for an hour straight doesn't count as a problem. But it gets worse from here. Day 3 hits, and OP is not going anywhere. Her discharge got pushed back for post-op swelling. She's stuck in that room at least one more night. I called my sister that morning and just unloaded everything. She listened, but her take was basically, hospitals are weird at night. People on medication do strange things. You're probably on edge from surgery. And honestly, I almost bought it. I wanted to buy it. Then that afternoon, I went for a supervised walk in the hallway with a tech, maybe 15 minutes. When I came back, she was sitting on my bed. Not hers, mine, holding my phone. She looked up and smiled and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought this was my phone." Her phone was a flip phone. Mine is an iPhone in a bright red case. They look nothing alike. I took it and checked. My photo gallery had been opened. My contacts had been opened too. Nothing seemed deleted, but I had no way of knowing what she saw or how long she had it. I didn't say a word to her. I walked straight to the charge nurse and said, "I need to be moved right now." I was loud. I didn't care. I said, "If you can't move me, I will leave against medical advice tonight." She finally escalated it. By evening, I was in a private room. I sat on that bed and just cried. The relief hit all at once. But I still couldn't sleep. I just lay there watching the door handle, waiting for it to turn. The comments were not gentle about this one. I'm a nurse, and this is a massive patient safety violation. The fact that she was allowed back repeatedly after interfering with another patient's IV is insane. That alone should have triggered a security hold and a police report. She was photographing your face while you slept. Let that sink in. That's not concern, that's collecting something. I'd be checking every corner of the internet for those photos. I've been reverse image searching every photo of myself I can find, and so far, nothing has come up, but that doesn't make me feel better. She had my full name from the whiteboard above my bed. They write your name, your nurse, your doctor, everything. She had days to memorize all of it. And this is where OP thought it was over. It was not. Then OP posted an update 2 weeks later, and honestly, this is where it goes from creepy to genuinely frightening. I got my medical records back, and someone asked for my home address. So after I got moved to the private room, I thought the worst was over. Then one night, a younger nurse came in, closed the door behind her, and sat down. She looked scared. She told me off the record that this woman has done this before. 4 times in the past 2 years. She always comes through the ER with something real but minor. A UTI, chest pain that turns out to be anxiety, a fall. She gets admitted, fights discharge every time, and always requests the bed closest to the door in shared rooms. The nurse said there was security footage from prior stays. This woman was caught going through other patients' belongings, photographing their medical charts, and in one confirmed case, she removed another patient's IV line while they were sleeping. That patient woke up bleeding, and the woman claimed she bumped it walking to the bathroom. Nobody ever filed a formal complaint. Every single patient just wanted to leave and never think about it again. The nurse looked me in the eyes and said, "Please don't be another one who just leaves." The comments on this one hit exactly how you'd expect. The "I was checking if you were breathing" line made my stomach drop. No normal person does that. She had a rehearsed answer ready because she's done it before. The fact that the nurses knew and just let it keep happening is the part that actually scares me. Everyone knew she was dangerous, and they just kept cycling new patients into her room. Honestly, this is a systemic failure. Once a patient tampers with another patient's medical equipment, that should be an automatic discharge with a security escort and a flag in the system. The fact that it was treated as an inconvenience rather than an assault tells you everything about how understaffed and liability-averse these units are. Please tell me you actually reported this and didn't just leave. I filed a formal complaint the next morning. I sat with a patient advocate and went through every detail. I was not going to be another one who just left. OP came back about a week later with an update post. I got my medical records back and someone asked for my home address. So I have been working with a patient advocate since my discharge. Here is what I learned. The woman has been internally flagged by the hospital. Multiple incidents across different stays are on file. but she has never been formally banned. Every single time she comes in through the ER presenting real symptoms and federal EMTALA protections mean they are legally required to treat her. They cannot turn her away at the door. I requested my complete medical records last week. Most of it was standard post-op documentation, nothing unusual. But buried in the nurse's station log was a handwritten entry that stopped me cold. Someone, no name recorded, had come to the front desk and asked for my home address. The reason given was they wanted to send me a Get Well card. The hospital cannot confirm who made the request. They also cannot confirm whether my address was actually given out. So here is where I am now. I installed cameras at my apartment entrance and inside my hallway. I sleep with every single light on. I have not slept through a full night since I left that hospital. The worst part is not what she did. It is that I will never know everything she did while I was unconscious. Think about what a hospital asks of you. You are sedated, undressed, immobile. You hand over your body to an institution and trust that they will control who walks through that door. And that institution failed her. Not out of malice, out of bureaucratic inertia. Nobody wanted to deal with the paperwork. Nobody wanted to be the one to escalate. Every patient before OP just wanted to forget it happened and move on with their lives. The system counted on that. This comment pretty much nailed it. This is why I will pay anything for a private room. Anything. I don't care if I go broke. Absolutely not sharing a room with a stranger while I'm sedated. If something like this has happened to you, file the report. Be the one who does not just leave. Alright, on to the next one. Everyone in my town, 26-year-old female, started calling me by a name that isn't mine, and nobody will acknowledge they're doing it. This one was posted to r/nosleep by Static in the Hall about 3 days ago. Small town horror, but not the kind you'd expect. It opens the way a lot of these posts do. Normal life, normal routine, nothing out of place. And then one small detail shifts, and the whole thing starts to unravel. I'm 26F, live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, population maybe 4,000 on a good day. I work at the local library, have for 3 years now. My life is quiet and routine, and I like it that way. Monday morning, I stopped at the coffee shop I hit every single day before work. Same barista, same order, same small talk. She handed me my cup and said, "Here you go, Marin." My name is not Marin. I have never been called Marin in my life. I laughed and corrected her, and she just stared at me. Not like she was joking, like she was genuinely worried about me. She said, "Are you feeling okay?" and called me Marin again. I figured she mixed me up with someone else and let it go. Then I got to work. My coworker said, "Good morning, Marin." My boss asked Marin to cover the front desk. Every single person at the library used that name like it was nothing, like it had always been mine. I spent the whole day thinking it was some elaborate office prank. Then I went home. My mom was in the kitchen making dinner, and she looked up and said, "Marin, can you set the table?" I pulled out my driver's license, held it right up to her face. My real name, printed clear as day. My photo, my address. She went white. She backed up against the counter like I'd shown her something awful, and she whispered, "Where did you get that? Who gave that to you?" Like the license was the forgery. Like I was the thing in her kitchen that didn't belong. She is standing in her own mother's kitchen holding proof of who she is, and her mother is staring at her like she has never seen that name before in her life. This one builds from here, and trust me, the name is the least unsettling part. Now this is where OP starts to unravel. Because the thing about being told you're wrong by every single person you know, it doesn't matter what your ID says after a while. Your brain starts to bend. I spent the next 2 days trying to prove I wasn't losing my mind. I checked my mail, my name, right there on every envelope. Social media, bank statements, my library card from work, all correct. But the second I walked into a room or opened my mouth, it was Marin. Every single time. I tried everything. I held up my bank card at the coffee shop and pointed at the name printed on it. The barista squinted at it, then looked at me like I was having some kind of episode. I wrote my name in block letters on a piece of paper and handed it to my coworker Lisa. She read it, looked up at me with these soft, worried eyes, and said, "Marin, are you feeling okay?" Nobody was being mean about it. That's what got to me. They all looked genuinely concerned, like I was the problem. My boss pulled me aside Thursday afternoon, said maybe I should take a few days off, get some rest. Called me Marin while he said it. I started thinking maybe they were right. Friday morning, I got in my car and drove. 20 minutes to the next town over. Gas station, bought a water, paid with my card. The cashier glanced at the receipt and read my real name off it like it was nothing. My actual name. I almost cried right there. Drove back. Passed the town welcome sign, stopped at the grocery store. Clerk smiled and said, "Hey, Marin." It is the town. Whatever this is, it does not leave the town limits. And that right there is the turning point of this whole thing. She's not losing her mind. Every piece of paper, every screen, every system outside those borders knows exactly who she is. But inside the town, she's Marin. The phenomenon is geographic. It has edges. And she still has no idea who Marin is or why this town decided that's who she should be. This is where things start to unravel. I searched Marin plus my town name in every way I could think of. Facebook, Google, local newspaper archives, nothing. No obituary, no missing person, no one by that name tied to this place. I went to my mom's house and sat her down and asked her point blank, "Who is Marin?" She stared at me like I'd asked her what color the sky is. She said, "You are. You've always been Marin. Why are you doing this?" I pushed harder and she started crying. Not angry crying, scared crying. She grabbed my hands and begged me to stop, said I was scaring her, said she just wanted her daughter back. I left feeling like I was the one losing my mind. After that, things shifted. People in town started watching me differently. Not mean, not threatening, careful, like I was made of glass. My best friend Jess stopped answering my calls. I tried her 3 times in 2 days. Nothing. Then something pulled me to the cemetery. I don't know how else to describe it. I wasn't planning to go. I just ended up there. And I walked straight to a headstone like I already knew where it was. The name on it was Marin Caldwell. The birth date was my exact birthday. That is where she leaves it, and the comments did not hold back. This is genuinely one of the most disturbing things I've read on here. The fact that your own mother looked at your legal ID and acted like it was fake, that's not a prank. That's coordinated. Has anyone else from outside the town visited you recently? I want to know what a total stranger would call you if they read your license versus asked a local. I don't want to freak you out more, but you should check if there's a death record for your real name anywhere. If they're calling you Marin, someone named Marin might have existed there before. I did. I went to the cemetery yesterday and found a headstone for Marin Caldwell with my exact birthday. There's a photo inlaid in the stone. She looks like me, but her jaw is different and her eyes are darker. She died in 2019. I'm shaking typing this because I moved here in 2019. I moved into a house on Birch Lane, and I'm now realizing I never questioned why it was so cheap or why it smelled like smoke for the first 6 months. OP went quiet for 5 days. Then she came back with an update post. I found the grave, and my best friend finally told me the truth. It's been 5 days. I'm sorry I went dark. I found the grave. Marin Caldwell. Born the exact same day as me. Same year, same month, same day. Died 2019. There's a photo embedded in the headstone, and I stood there staring at it for I don't know how long. It looks like me. Same bone structure, same jawline, same build. But the eyes are slightly different. Just enough that I know it isn't me, but not enough that anyone else would notice. I drove straight to Jess's house after that. She wouldn't answer the door, so I sat on her porch and told her I wasn't leaving until she talked to me. She came out after an hour. She was already crying before she opened the screen door. She told me everything. Marin died 6 years ago in a house fire. 3 months later, I moved into her house. Nobody in town could explain why I looked identical to the dead girl. Jess said the whole town just decided. They started calling me Marin because it was easier than facing something they couldn't understand. She kept repeating, "We thought if we just kept going, it would be okay. We thought if nobody said anything, it would just become true." I asked her why nobody told me. She looked at me like I'd asked something terrifying and said they were afraid of what would happen if I knew. Reactions hit quick on this one. I grew up in a town of 400 people. Small towns absolutely can and do collectively decide on a version of reality. This isn't as impossible as city people think. This is what people don't get. It's not a conspiracy with meetings and agendas. It's just grief plus proximity plus time. Somebody starts it, nobody corrects it, and eventually it becomes the only version anyone remembers. Except it doesn't explain why OP looks like the dead girl. OP, please check your birth certificate. If your name is real, it'll be on record somewhere outside that town. You need external documentation now. OP came back with one final update post. I found the grave, and my best friend finally told me the truth. I drove 2 towns over yesterday morning. I needed something official, something on paper that proved I exist under my real name. I walked into the county records office and asked for my birth certificate. The clerk typed my name in, waited, typed it again slower. She looked up at me and said, "There is no record under that name in this state. Not expired, not amended, not sealed, just nothing. Like I was never registered. Like I was never born." I am writing this from a motel off the highway. I have not gone back. I will not go back. I keep catching myself in the bathroom mirror and something is wrong. My hands don't look right. They are my hands, but they feel borrowed. It is like wearing gloves made of someone else's skin. I don't know who I am anymore. If my name doesn't exist in any system, if every person who knows me insists I'm someone else, if there is a grave with my face on it, then what am I? Whatever Marin was, whatever happened to her 6 years ago in that fire, I think it is happening to me now. I am not going back to that town. Her account went dark after that, but a few hours before it did, she dropped one last reply in the comments. "The way you described your mom backing away from the license made my stomach drop. She wasn't confused. She was scared. That's a very different thing." This is the last post, isn't it? I keep refreshing and nothing. Please update. Please just tell us you're still okay. I looked at my hands today, and they didn't feel like mine. And that is where it ends. No resolution, no follow-up, just silence. The thing that haunts me about this one, it is not that the town was lying to her. It is the possibility they were telling the truth the whole time. If her name doesn't exist anywhere, if every record agrees she is Marin, then who was she, really? That question has no good answer. All right, on to the next one. My coworker, 28-year-old male, has started copying the exact way I talk to clients, and it's gone way beyond flattery. This one comes from r/offmychest, posted about 5 days ago by Quiet Corner Desk. It starts out sounding like a normal workplace complaint, but I promise you it is not. OP opens the post almost like she's not sure it's worth sharing yet, like she's still convincing herself something is actually wrong. I, 26-year-old female, work at a mid-size consulting firm. Been here about 2 years, and I've gotten comfortable with my clients and my rhythm on calls. About 6 months ago, we hired this new guy. I'll call him Marcus, 28-year-old male. He was on my team and seemed genuinely eager to learn, always asking how I handled difficult client questions, how I structured proposals, what my approach was. I was flattered, honestly. Then I started noticing things. He adopted my exact email sign-off, the one I came up with my first week that nobody else uses. He started greeting clients the way I do, same little joke about Monday mornings, same warm tone. I told myself it was normal. People pick stuff up from each other. Then, last Tuesday, I'm walking past his office and I hear him on a client call. He's telling a story, my grandmother's story. The one about her crossing into Canada in the middle of winter with nothing but a suitcase and a phrase book. Word for word. Same pauses I take. Same nervous stammer I get when I talk about her standing at the border, not knowing if they'd let her through. He told the client it was his grandmother. I froze in the hallway. I have never told him that story. I only ever tell it on client calls when I'm building rapport with someone, which means he has been recording my calls or listening in on them somehow. I stood there for probably 2 full minutes before I could move. And right there is where the whole tone of this post shifts, because up until that moment, she could write it off as a guy who admires her style. But you don't accidentally memorize someone's grandmother's immigration story down to the stammer and claim it as your own. This is just the beginning. And where it goes from here is so much worse. So after that moment outside his office, OP can't let it go. She goes back through every single interaction she's had with this guy since his first week. Every meeting, every hallway chat, every time she overheard him on a call. And the list she puts together is way longer than she expected. I started making a list and it wouldn't stop growing. My filler words. I say honestly a lot when I'm stalling, and I do this thing where I go, right, when I'm processing something a client said. He does both now, exact same rhythm. I have this joke I use with clients when we're deep in financials. Spreadsheets are my therapy, way cheaper than the real thing. He used it on a call last Thursday, word for word, same little laugh after. So I tested him. I told a client this story about how my dog got into a bag of flour, and I came home to what looked like a crime scene. I don't have a dog. 2 days later, I hear him on a call telling the exact same story. Same pacing, same laugh at the end. I went to the break room and waited for him. When he walked in, I said it straight. I know what you're doing, and you need to stop. He looked at me, didn't blink, and then he said, I know what you're doing, and you need to stop. Right back at me. Same cadence, same slight stammer I get when I'm nervous. Eye contact the entire time. Didn't smile, didn't explain, just stood there wearing my voice like he'd been rehearsing it. And that right there is the part that made my skin crawl. He didn't get defensive, didn't try to laugh it off or come up with some excuse. He just played her back to herself. Same words, same rhythm, same stammer. Like a recording that decided to make eye contact. OP says she walked out of that break room shaking, went straight to a bathroom stall and sat there for 10 minutes trying to process what just happened. Because there's something about hearing your own voice come out of someone else's mouth, aimed right back at you, that doesn't leave you the same way. And at that point, she knows. This is not going to stop on its own. Something has to change. After that break room confrontation, OP did the one thing she could. She built a case. I spent the entire weekend putting together a file. Timestamps from my calls, recordings of his calls where he used the same stories, same pauses, same stammer. I wrote up exactly what happened in the break room, how he looked at me, how he answered me in my own voice. I went to HR on Monday morning, and, I'll be honest, I expected them to tell me I was being dramatic. They didn't. They pulled him into a meeting that afternoon. By Tuesday, he was on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation. I should have felt relieved. Part of me did, but the office got weird fast. Some people were supportive, but a few made comments. That I got a guy suspended over a personality quirk? That imitation is flattery? That maybe I was being sensitive? One person said it to my face. And I started wondering if they were right. But then I'd remember standing in that break room, watching him speak to me in my own rhythm, and I'd feel sick all over again. The worst part is what it did to my calls. I used to be good at my job, natural. Now every time I open my mouth on a client call, I freeze. I hear myself, and I don't know if the words are mine anymore, or if they're just the version of me he built. He studied me like I was a subject in an experiment, and now I can't find the original. The comments validated what she already knew. This is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've ever read on here. He's not copying you, he's replacing you. Please take this seriously. I had a roommate in college who did something similar. Started dressing like me, using my phrases, telling people my childhood stories as hers. It ended with her trying to take over my friend group entirely. Get away from this person. Please tell me you've told your family about this. If he's already using your stories on clients, there's nothing stopping him from reaching out to people in your actual life. I wish I'd seen this comment before I posted the update. You were exactly right. He'd already started. My mom had been texting with someone she thought was me on a new number for almost 2 weeks. The things he wrote to her sounded so much like me that when I read the screenshots, I felt physically ill. He knew about my cat's name, my Sunday routine, things I've only ever mentioned casually at work. I don't know how long he was listening. 2 weeks go by. Then OP came back with an update post. He's been texting my mom pretending to be me, and she didn't notice for 2 weeks. So I thought him being on leave would be the end of it. It's not. It got so much worse. I was going through my phone and noticed my mom had texted me back about something I never brought up. A recipe I supposedly asked for. I never sent that message. I went through our thread and found gaps, her responding to things I didn't write. I called her immediately. Someone had been texting her from a number nearly identical to mine for 2 weeks, using my pet names, my punctuation, the way I double text when I'm excited. She had no idea it wasn't me. Then I checked with 2 of my closest friends. Same thing. He'd been reaching out from spoof numbers pretending to be me. Full conversations, asking about my routines, my plans, where I'd be on certain days. This was never about work. He wasn't copying how I talk to clients. He was learning how to be me with the people who know me best. Practicing. I filed a police report and I am genuinely terrified. And right there, the whole picture shifts. You can feel the moment she realizes what she's actually dealing with. The thread went nuclear after this one. The fact that he responded to your confrontation in your own speech pattern is so deeply threatening. That's not unconscious mirroring, that's a power move. This. It's called identity absorption, and it's a documented behavior in certain personality disorders. The confrontation response is the giveaway. A normal person copying a coworker's phrases would get embarrassed and stop. He doubled down because the mimicry isn't a habit, it's the whole point. OP is dealing with someone who wants to become her. The grandmother story part made my stomach drop. That's not a quirk he picked up. He memorized your life. He studied you. So here's where everything finally lands. The company finally fired him. Official termination, escorted out of the building, the whole thing. I thought, okay, this nightmare chapter is closed. I can start rebuilding. 3 weeks go by. I'm at a networking event downtown. First time I've put myself out there since everything happened. I'm grabbing a drink at the bar and I hear it. Across the room, someone introducing himself to a group of people, using my full name, my job title, my alma mater, my laugh. It was him. He was being me at a professional event in the same city. I left immediately and filed a police report the next morning. The officer was sympathetic but told me straight, none of this technically constitutes a crime in our jurisdiction. There's no law against saying you're someone else at a party. There's no statute that covers someone learning how to be you. I've changed my number, locked every social media account I have. I'm seriously considering relocating to another city entirely. I don't know how to stop someone from becoming you. I don't know what legal framework exists for this. I just know I don't feel like myself anymore, and I'm not sure he's done. The comment section on this one was begging her to run. I work in HR, document everything. Emails, timestamps, recordings if your state allows it. This behavior escalates, and after that, the account just goes dark. No replies, no follow-up, nothing. Here's what sits with me about this whole story. When we hear identity theft, we think credit cards and bank accounts, things with fraud departments, things you can freeze and dispute with a phone call. But this is something way harder to prosecute and honestly maybe harder to recover from. He didn't steal her wallet or her credit score. He stole her voice, her stories, her mannerisms, the way she connects with people. And when she went to the police, they basically said, sorry, being creepy isn't illegal. So what would you do if someone was slowly becoming you and nobody could legally make them stop? Drop it in the comments because I genuinely don't know the answer to that one. But that is the last story for today.